Hey guys, thanks for checking out today's video. Real quick, I want to take a couple seconds and just give you a heads up. Today's video is going to be a little different than normal. I have some footage from multiple days that I want to kind of put together here and kind of show the final details of raising the steel of part 4 here. And so it may seem a little chopped up. Forgive me on that. You know, I just want to make sure I document everything here and you guys, give you guys all the information of putting everything together. So hopefully you guys enjoy, get something from this. Feel free to make a comment if you have a question or anything, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Alright guys, let's get started. I gotta tell you, this humidity is driving me nuts. It's just fogging my lens up every single time I pick the camera up. Anyway, I was at like day 11 and a half if you include the last half day. So I just did another half day, so I guess that would conclude day 11, and I would be going on day 12. So anyway, I'm just doing a quick update. Today is Saturday, came out for a half day, and I wanted to get the windows in. So I pre-built the window frames and got them in, so let me show you. So pretty much what you're looking at is you're inside the building now, which is a great feeling. And there's my big overhead door, 12 by 12, but my man door. So a lot of this we got in yesterday, but I wanted to get my windows in and place them. And really the cool thing about this is you're allowed to put your windows anywhere, because they're kind of like you pretty much set them in place wherever you want them. And on the print, I kind of decided to put them on this wall for a couple of reasons. And you can kind of see why. You can look into my yard, see my house, see my pool and deck and family. So anyway, I picked out 3 windows, the only 3 windows I'm having in my shop, because I want wall space as well. And the back wall doesn't really make any sense to have anything back to my neighbor. So 3 windows, they are 3 feet by 6 feet wide, and I put one by the man door, which is kind of like, I don't know, I guess I call it the A side of the building. The main front of the building will be, because it will be going out to the roadside to get in and out. One window there facing the yard so I can see who's coming and going. And then I got 2 windows, one to look into my yard and deck to see my kids and family when they come out of the house, and one to look into the pool and kind of see who's coming from that side of the yard. So yeah, and I'll give you kind of a perspective of how they were built and how they went in. So they were, hopefully the lighting's not too bad, but you can kind of see they're L brackets that bolt to these frames. Then once I square them up and get them flush to the outside, they're self-tappers that tap in. And so, and there's button heads on the inside. So when I, put the windows in, I can kind of do my finished work and sit flush with whatever I use. On the outside, I'll give you a quick view. Nice and flush with the outside when I do the sheathing. So yeah, pretty basic. I had to put these brackets in the middle so I can put these girts in. I guess it was a little time consuming. I had to cut the girts to fit on opposite sides, because when they give you the girts, they give you a full section, because you can put them anywhere you want. So I had to cut down the girts, drill some new holes, and put those in with the angled brackets on the window frames. So I did that 3 times, and I got my window placement pretty much on this, I don't know what you want to call it, front side or south side facing my house. I just centered the 2 windows between the 2 main uprights, centered the frames, and found that location and screwed them in. So very happy with the placement. It's going to look great. I got great views of my yard, and when the kids and family are yelling at me, I can just take a peek and see where it's coming from. Anyway, so that kind of concludes today's half day of work on a Saturday. I do want to do some more, but I got it. Next on the chopping block is put this man door in, and the same thing is I gotta get some anchor bolts, because you know, it didn't come with anchor bolts because it allows you to place it anywhere you want. So I have to go to the hardware store, get some anchor bolts so I can locate this door and get it anchored in and tie it into the building. So that is my next step, and yes, I'm going to tie it right there to the rest of the girts to make it nice and tight and give me some room on this side. When I have vehicles in here, I'll be able to you know, open the door and not interfere with you know, the man door, people coming in and out. So that is it. I don't want to take too much more time. Just wanted to share with you what I did today on day 11 and a half and show you how I put the window frames in. So we're getting very close. As you can see in my yard here, there's not a lot of metal, or at least red metal, on the ground. Those are scraps that I did not need because I used all the small pieces off one piece and those are left over. So yeah, not a lot of metal left, just a lot of bracketry that needs to be tied in the next couple of days here. I got to tie in kind of I guess you would call them gussets to each one of these purlins, and then tie in the centers to make everything nice and tight and square, and some pieces around that overhead door with girts and corner bracing. So that wraps my Saturday up here in the barn, and I think I'm gonna go spend the rest of the day with the family and take the wifey out for dinner tonight. Finally, it's well overdue. All right, guys, see you Monday, and hopefully we can wrap this up in the next couple of days and move on to the next phase. All right. Just wrapping up day 12 here, and to be honest, doesn't look like we got much done today, but we did. And I still got to fix that brace up there. I know, don't call me out on that. But what we spent most of the day on was finally fixing that upright. The manufacturer finally gave the okay to fix that upright that we talked about earlier, where they drilled the base plate incorrectly. So there's my repair, and yes, it was a pain in the ass. I had to remove this whole upright, and I should have shot video footage of this, but I was just too hectic, too stressful at the time. But I did not want to take all the girts off the wall and have to remove all the bracing. So what I did is I unbolted it all. We took off the top bolts, and then we kind of made a sling, kind of pulled it out from the A-frame, lifted it up with my buddy on the lift and me on the bottom. We lifted it up off the bolts, over the girts, and we put it on a couple blocks of wood. And then I you know, marked out the new bolt holes based off the anchor bolt plan, and drilled them all out to 1-inch holes, which was a pain in the ass, if you can imagine. There's the remains of all the metal, but yeah, there she is. We made the repair, we saved the wall, it didn't fall down on us, and we got it all back together. Took about 4 hours with obviously 2 guys, so yeah, it took about 8 man hours to actually make that repair, and we got everything back together. So it was a pain in the ass, but it's done. Now I can straighten that wall and kind of finish that end wall and kind of conclude on that. I do have to put some X bracing in that, which is going to be the next pain in the ass. You see I got some remaining rods that I have to put some X bracing tension rods through this, and the reason is because I have a bay door here and it is a corner. I guess engineering wise they think for the wind load and for extra strength, I got to put some X bracing in that, which they did not drill the holes through the girts. And like I said before, the holes on the uprights are actually on opposite sides of the uprights. So I got to re-drill that, figure all that out, and figure out the cable pass-throughs or the rod pass-throughs through all these girts. So that's going to be a lot of work. So we got that done, and then I put my last man door up, figured where I wanted that, got that all figured out, put a lot of brackets in today, which is just time consuming, finding the right measurements, and then obviously self-tapping all these little L brackets. Now I got to cut girts, take the girts and cut them down to what I need. I had to put new anchor bolts in on these here because I located this where I wanted, so I got new anchor bolts, and yeah, that was the gist of my day of kind of fixing, repairing, and getting some stuff up. Hopefully tomorrow I can work on tying in the gussets and brackets in the roof. That's really all we have left here. I do have some flashing on the ground, kind of some ridge cap flashing I got to do. Let me show you up here at the peak. I do got to tie in some flashing all the way across so the ridge cap can screw into. I got to do that on both ends. That's the next big thing. And then tie in some ridge support members, and just a bunch of odds and ends. So windows are done. You already seen that, but yeah. So another day in the books. That was day 12 or whatever. I don't even know why I'm keeping track anymore, but day 12-ish on the steel erection. So that concludes today, guys, and I'll get back to you when hopefully when we are all done. So you're probably wondering how the hell I grew this so fast and why I'm wearing a sweatshirt. Well, let me catch you up with things. I wanted to complete this series of raising the steel. So a lot has happened since, well, I've been back on camera here. So I wanted to get you guys back up to speed before we moved on in the series. Anyway, as you can see here, the steel is done. Everything. Every single nut and bolt is in there. All the bracing is in there. All the supports. All the levels are level and plumb and square and everything else. But the reason, well, it's a different season now. And that's why I'm in a sweatshirt. Back in the last clip, it was August. It was hot as hell. It was a hot summer. Obviously, you can tell from that. So I had to take some time off and get back in the shop to work on some customer work, but also just kind of play catch up with everything going on with the family. You know, having a summer vacation before the kids went back to daycare. My wife went back to teaching, so it was a very busy end of summer. So that pretty much ate up all of August and the beginning of September, and really didn't give me too much time to get out here and work on the building. So unfortunately, I did a lot of planning, you know, meanwhile at night and so forth as far as the next couple steps. But I wanted to show you how I concluded here, and we are going next. So here it is. The building is done. All the bracing is in. I know you guys seen a lot of this already, but there is all the extra bracing that comes into play. Everything is level and square, I was saying. So yeah, we are ready to start doing flashing and actually sheathe the walls. The biggest challenge, obviously, is this wall. And I'll tell you, I had to go back and spend a day actually getting this wall level, because these brackets on here all the way up were not square. So as I bolted the girts in, everything became out of square. And this whole I can't talk this morning. This whole wall was not straight. So I had to literally re-drill all the holes on every single girt there, and then level it all the way up on there. So that took a good day to do that. This wall has been the biggest pain in the ass out of the whole building so far, but it is very straight and level all the way up now, which will you know, definitely help moving forward and look good. You're probably also wondering, whoa, what is that base trim? That's right, I've also did that, and I forgot to shoot a video on that as well. So there it is. It's galvanized base trim. pretty much this is kind of something I came up with as far as, you know, sealing the building off from the outside. I did this red oxide base trim on the perimeter all the way around, which the manufacturer actually recommended doing and provided me. This gives me a good seal enclosure from the elements outside, and that way no rodents or animals will be able to get in. So on the exterior of the building, you'll see I'm going to be doing Galvalume, kind of like a wainscoting. So I wanted to make sure the base trim is going to match. So that's what I did all across the bottom in preparation, and then the sheathing will go in that, and then the metal will obviously go on top of the sheathing, and the barn board will go on top of that. So I trimmed out the base of this building here in preparation of getting the walls up here next. The directions, well, I don't really have directions, but the blueprints, there's no real orderly fashion, so I've kind of had to come up with the engineering plans in my own head and how I'm going to do this. It's kind of been challenging in that sense because, like I said, I am really unexperienced at doing this, and it's kind of new to me, but you know, I can figure it out. I got a decent grade in geometry. So that is, all these walls are good to go, the overhang's good to go, and yeah, I'm excited because I'm ready to put up the walls. But before we do that, we need to kind of take some time and think what has to happen before we start putting walls up. And one thing is, as we put the insulation in the walls, I'm going to put the roof on as we move down the building. So I got to really make sure everything is trimmed out before we can put the roof on. So I need to do all the eave trim and flashing before I do that. So when we do put the walls up, it's a smooth process and we can move right down the building and not get hung up. Yeah, so that's where I'm at with that.